Hello, hi, welcome to All on the Table Side Quests. This is the fifth Saturday of the month, and so since we don't have standard programming for the fifth Saturday, that means we're here with a very special extra one-shot for y'all. Today, we are going to be playing a game called Ark City Arcane Blues, created by Pixel Bismuth. And I'm Nobody, I'll be your storyteller. Uh, with me here are the fabulous cast. If you guys could go and introduce yourselves.
Yeah,
Hi,
just. Oh, sorry.
I'm Jen Giggles. I'm frequently here, and I today will be playing Leo. My character's pronouns are she, her, and so are mine.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ben Ravensdale. I'm going to be playing. I lost my character sheet. Hold on a second. Killian Fide. He, him. I'm also he, him. Thank you very much for being here.
Hi, I'm M, and today I'm going to be playing Taylor Satori. My pronouns are they, them, and Taylor's are she, her.
Hi, I'm Nick. I will be playing Panina Rockbell today. My pronouns are he, him, and her pronouns are she, her.
Wonderful, wonderful. Glad to hear it. So, this is a playtest of the third draft of Ark City. So, just to give you all a quick rundown of how it goes, basically, each of you has 6 styles. Think of them, they might be attributes in other games. Whenever you want to perform an action, you're going to draw cards from the tarot deck equal to your score in that style. And then there's a couple other things that you'll be able to do to mess with that. Each card is worth a specific number of points. Low cards are just worth 1, medium cards are worth high cards, sorry, are worth 2, and face cards are worth 3, and the objective is to score as many as you can. A 6 is a complete success, a 1 is a complete failure.
Okay.
Adding to this, there's one of those cards you'll get to choose as a bonus card. This will have other effects on your check in addition to the standard point messing. You'll also want to be looking for specific suits depending on which check that is. That can be a little complicated, but I'll be here to let you know when you take action what you'll be needing to look for. Um, the other thing is, though, is that you'll have cards in your hand, wild cards. So if each of y'all could go ahead and draw 3 cards from the deck, these will be cards that you have as a resource. Whenever you make a check, you can spend 1 point from one of your pools to add that card at its maximum value to your check. That way, you've always got an ace up the sleeve, so to speak.
Okay, so here's a dumb question. I have a
Righto.
page in my hand, but it doesn't have a
Okay.
number on it. What does that mean?
Page is a face card.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
And those
it's
are
roughly
counted
equivalent to a
as.
jack in a regular card deck. So,
Okay.
Page,
face
knight,
cards are
queen, and
worth.
king are the face cards in tarot.
Gotcha. And
Exactly.
what's the value on a face card? Sorry.
Normally, the value on a face card is 3. Since
Okay.
you're playing it from your hand, all cards in your hand would be worth their max value, so that's 3 either way.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Whose cards do we have up on the screen?
Oh, those are mine. How do I put those into my?
You should be able to right click them and select take card, and then
there we
above
go.
your name down at the bottom, and you can just click there
There
to
we go.
see what
Sorry
cards
about
are in
that.
your hand.
Got it now.
It's all good. It
I
is
think
a
I did
little
the same
awkward
thing.
doing it over Roll20, but this is just how we need to do things since we're not in the same room.
Yep.
All right. Sounds good. So that's basically the mechanics of Ark City, but to get a little into it, Ark City is the idea is it's a spellpunk game. Think cyberpunk, think grim, think gritty, in the undercity of a New York that grew up with magic alongside technology. And yeah, that's where y'all will fit in. Runners who just kind of fell through the cracks with your incredible magic. Crystal building.
I'm getting. There we go. Now I'm getting audio from you again, Patch.
Oh dear. Sorry about that. All good?
All good.
Okay. Then we, the camera, flash. We zoom past the Crystal building. We zoom past the Statue of Libertines. And we fly all the way through the streets, all the way up to the Bronx, where we find, in a quiet corner of a dark neighborhood of Eden Park, a small shop. The neighborhood around is a little bit dilapidated, but this shop is strangely futuristic. It's all chrome and neon. Here we find ourselves at Rossum's Universal Repair Shop. You were all contacted by your various fixers, contacts, mob enforcers. You were all told there was a major job on the line, something huge, and that your main job was to be here at 3 p.m. if you needed to find out what was going on. So, 2:55 p.m., December the 28th, who do y'all think is the first one to arrive?
Killian's a fairly punctual, organized guy, so he's probably a little bit early. Not like egregiously so. Stylishly early, like 5 minutes.
Perfect. Do you care to describe Killian for us? Class or playbook, physical description, anything you'd like to tell us about him?
Yeah, so Killian is a transmuter. He is slightly older, definitely got a lot of gray in his otherwise dark beard. His hair, strangely enough, doesn't really have any gray in it yet, not because he dyes it, just because he's lucky, I guess. He has a distinctly almost Victorian style to the way he dresses, kind of leaning more into sort of like the magic side of the kind of magic punk vibe. He's got a longer coat, not quite a trench coat. It probably comes down to just above his knees. A surcoat, or like a surcoat, a doublet, I guess, with a fairly large floofy collar, very much like a gentleman type garb, and he always has a cane with him. So
Wonderful. The interior of Rossum's Robotics is a set of lined shelves. They're all the way down the center of the store, with just the most random pieces of mechanical garbage you can imagine lined all over the shelves. This is probably where they keep the parts distribution. And at the front, there is a counter where there is a person swearing at a toaster. This is presumably the person you're here to meet. Who knows? But it is sort of mechanical almost. The joints, the way it moves, it just doesn't quite seem like a standard human. And if you pay close attention, you can see like camera lenses in the eyes, irising in and out when it focuses on different things. And it doesn't even seem to acknowledge you when you arrive. And for the rest of you, I'd like to invite you to bring your characters into the scene whenever you feel like it, whenever you feel is chronologically appropriate for someone who is supposed to be here at 3 o'clock.
I would just real quick will say, as I walk in and witness the scene, I'll say, make sure you apologize to it or you get nothing but burnt toast.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy. Friggin' powering a toaster with an incendiary rune. How am I supposed to fix that? I fix machines.
Someone was ambitiously inventive while lacking the lacking the know-how to do it properly, it seems.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to call in a favor on this one. This is ridiculous.
Well, I'm sure you'll figure it out.
When it sighs, there's that electronic static kind of noise just at the edges of the voice. It's clearly
Are artificial life forms commonplace in this setting?
That's sort of a mixed bag, if I'm honest.
Okay.
Because it's so easy for folks to pick up magic, yeah, there are definitely people out there who create their own life. It's not something you see every day, and it's certainly not something uniform. There's not like a company out there selling androids, but sure, a homunculus on the street, why not?
Okay. All right, good to know. Thank you.
A couple minutes later, Leo will walk in. it's getting close to 3, but not quite 3 o'clock yet. And
Perfect.
Eileen walks in and she's got flaming red hair, and not like actually on fire, not naturally colored. Obviously, it is too bright to be anything else, but not uncommon in the city. Obviously, you're in a large city. People with this color hair are probably a dime a dozen if you looked. She's wearing a leather coat over just a standard leather jacket over the top of what appears to be just a plain t-shirt, not even like a band logo, just a plain t-shirt, jeans on, and shin height combat boots. She's got a few piercings, but nothing that would tell you that she's actively, on the punk side of things. Just something, just a few more than normal, but nothing too standoutish.
Absolutely. Would you like to tell us about your playbook, or would you prefer to keep that a secret for now?
I'll keep it a secret for now.
I thought you might. All right.
Killian will just kind of a little tilt of the head and, type of greeting. But he's mostly perusing the shelves.
Yeah, absolutely. The stuff on the shelves is a wild, eclectic mix of parts. Some of it is pretty standard for technology. Some of it is definitely like machinery that should not exist yet, that somehow has been created with magic, or possibly, time travel theft. It's just the most incredible variety of parts that have no immediate use.
All right.
Every here and there you'll find like flanges or the shell of an old telephone or something, but for the most part it's random mechanical bits.
Okay.
If no one else is going to show up, but at like 3:05 is when Taylor's actually going to bother to show up.
Excellent.
She's got short cropped black hair and wearing a nice blouse with a suit jacket over it that just kind of clanks as she walks in, because hanging inside that suit, lining that suit jacket, is a collection of other people's wands, which goes into her playbook as the charlatan. She doesn't have any of her own magic. She has just taken other people's wands and can convincingly fake it somewhat.
Marvelous.
It's a valuable skill.
So now there's these two fairly nicely appointed folks dressed in this shop full of, rusty old machine parts and oil spills, and it looks much nicer on the outside. I don't know. I don't know how much y'all care about keeping your clothes tidy, but it's difficult in here for sure.
Oh, no. Come on.
A few minutes after Taylor arrives, you hear a slight screeching or crunching sound from outside, and coming in with a little bit of dust still from having come down a building, kind of fireman style. But Panina walks in. She's 5'6" with shoulder length, about auburn hair, and has very patched, worn-looking clothing. But the dust is part of the result of her power. Panina is a shape changer, and what she has learned to do is manipulate and absorb carbon nearby into herself and others to harden and enhance things as needed.
Excellent.
That's cool.
If you're looking for carbon, this is absolutely the store to be in. It's
It tends to be fairly destructive, so pretty much most of the time when she's not, late running from a different job, which she may or may not be right now as the reason why she's shown up late, she tends to avoid doing that so as not to cause destruction.
understandable. All right. Um, so the person behind the counter doesn't really acknowledge most of y'all unless you talk to it first. But it's just going to keep doing its best to reconnect the wiring in this toaster until roughly about 15 minutes after 3, at which point it just sort of looks up and says, I suppose that's everyone then, shall we?
Panina, when she had come in, started apologizing incredibly loudly to whoever looked like the shop person for bringing in dust, and just waving and saying, "Sorry, hi," and then running along with the group. So if that caused any engagement, then she would have stuck around and chatted.
No, I think this robot person just sort of shrugged and I think maybe like clicked their hand backwards and revealed a little vent fan underneath to start blowing the dust back out the door. But yeah, so at that 15-minute mark, they put down their tools, leave the toaster behind, and move around to the front door, which is locked. The shutters are drawn down, and then they turn around to the rest of you. So, you ready to do some crimes?
I've never been on a team before.
Taylor just
Okay.
kind of looks
Okay.
over at
That much is obvious.
It's like, what are you doing?
Well, it does open things up to greater possibilities. So I, for one, look forward to the opportunity. And I'll kind of step forward to. It seems like Panina is the most outgoing of the rest of them, and I'll step forward and offer a hand and say, "Killian Fide."
Hi, Panina, and she takes your hand with both of hers and does the big shake.
A pleasure.
It's nice to meet you. What do you do?
I work in the construction industry, and
Oh.
he'll just leave it at that.
I often help once the buildings are constructed.
That's good to know. I think our skill sets will complement each other nicely.
Yay!
And then I'll kind of look at the other two.
Aileen,
A pleasure.
she's just not sure about these people yet.
A pleasure.
She's waiting for a response. And it takes her a good 2 minutes to slow down.
Taylor will give her a much slower wave and be like,
Oh, it speeds back up then.
Taylor, I am not in construction.
Honestly, I'm surprised that 2 of you are. It's a pretty high hit rate out of 4. So, I hope none of you are. Well, I'm assuming since you're here, you more or less are on board, but for simplicity's sake, I'm hiring you to do a robbery. It's not over the top, it's not an assigned hit. This is stealing things. So, if that is outside your moral compass or what you're willing to be hired to do, now's the time to go. But not an assassination job. I really, really have to clarify that because that has been an issue in the past, believe me.
I think
So,
provided the target is sufficiently wealthy, I don't have any problems with that particular employment style.
When you say not a hit, is there a maximum threshold of bodies?
Okay. All right, getting the hard questions out of the way right off the top. Okay. Um, listen, I would prefer if it wasn't a lot, but also I'm hiring you to do this job, so do what you need to do, I guess. I should probably talk this over first. Okay. Um, so it goes around back to the area behind that counter where it sort of folds the counter up to reveal that underneath the area where it was working, and it completely forgets about the toaster. That clatters to the floor and it starts swearing again. But underneath the counter itself is a rather large screen. It seems to be controlling it remotely. Whether this is Bluetooth functionality or some advanced robot ability, you have no idea. So, this is a little bit of a weird one, but basically, you're not robbing a person exactly. You're robbing the city. I hope that's okay. Because, I mean, okay, it is a person specifically, but he's using the city. It's okay. I'm sorry. This is. It never gets any easier to tell a new crew what you want them to do. So, you know the New York Times disco, or the New York Disco Ball for the New Year's? I want you to steal it.
Okay.
Why?
Right, yes. Let me give you a rundown of that. So, are y'all familiar with the fires in the Bronx a couple decades ago, back in the 70s?
Hmm.
Sure.
Long story short, of course,
No.
that spent about a decade, sometimes as many as 40 fires a day. The Bronx was burning constantly. And the media portrayed it as like oh, well, the immigrants who live there are just arsoning all over the place, which obviously, like, you don't burn down your own house. Come on, guys. Um, but the reality of it is that New York was broke at the time, and so they shut down 12 different fire departments in the Bronx, and so there was just no one to fight the fires.
Mm.
And on top of that, land developers were burning buildings so they could push in, buy the land for cheap. Gentrification via arson. It was not great. But there was one time, and only one time, where they screwed up. Because they burnt down a judge's house. And that judge, that night, was hosting a gathering of some of the more prominent wizards in the city. Of course, most of them got out just fine on account of powerful wizards, right? But not everybody. And the screen clicks, and there's an image on the screen now of a sort of. It's a lump of glass, but it's specially not carved exactly, but it's almost like a series of tubules winding in and out of itself. It could be likened to a Mobius strip, but if there were a couple of dozen of them intertwined with each other.
Hmm.
Now, out of the fire, this thing came. It's got a bunch of different names. All of them are stupid, but that's how it is with magical artifacts sometimes. The crooking stone, the fire glass, the judge's window. They're
What's it do?
that's the dangerous part. See, the thing is, you can pick it up just fine, right? Totally safe. But we're not sure why. No one really knows how this happened. Possibly because of the, arcane destruction in the room that night. The crooking glass, they say, wincing as they say it, is. If you start to follow the patterns, you're okay in the image, don't worry about that. But if you hold it, or if you have it nearby, you start to follow the patterns, you will quite literally lose your mind. And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense, I mean your mind will keep following the paths deeper and deeper and deeper into the stone, leaving your body behind, leaving you as just sort of a empty husk who will do whatever anyone tells you to. obviously this is a bad thing. He got picked up not long afterwards by a guy who figured out what it did to the rescues teams. He used it to build a shortly lived cannery empire on the backs of workers who he didn't have to pay because they were just gone. And eventually it got stolen, disappeared, and no more problem, right? Until about 6 months ago when it was recovered, and I am now reliably informed, broken down into a whole bunch of individual pieces of glass which have been layered over the New York Times ball drop. I have no idea what that's going to do to people who see it, but I think it's going to be pretty bad. So
That definitely is. Well, I wouldn't say that it's likely to be particularly profitable, but I do appreciate the fact that the intention of it is to make sure a lot of people don't get hurt. So I'm in.
But no, the heist itself is not profitable. That's why I'm paying you. That's out of pocket.
Oh, I meant it wasn't profitable for you.
Oh, goodness. No. Yeah, that's fair.
In a way, I think that that tells me everything I need to know. I'm in.
I do have one question. What is this crystal ball? I don't usually get out of the sewers, and other than running around the buildings, I don't get to see nice things.
Oh, right. So every year on New Year's, down in Pronomancy Square, they drop this giant ball as a sort of a celebration. They drop it in time with the countdown to the New Year, and then a whole bunch of people who have been peeing on themselves for hours because they're standing in a gigantic friggin' square with no exits or bathrooms have to slowly make their way out.
Rich people have the weirdest rituals. Why do you break a ball for luck?
Oh, it doesn't break, it just drops slowly. Like on a string.
It's mounted on a large sort of spire or frame, and then it's slowly lowered. And then once the countdown reaches 0, it reaches the bottom of its pathway, and the celebration, I would say, begins. But don't worry about it.
Is it pretty?
It's worth looking at least once, yes. Although not this year. This year would be a bad year.
So who put the mind control glass on the ball?
Right. Well, I did say you were kind of robbing a person, but not exactly. That would be a fellow by the name of Vincent Reed. You may have heard of his company, Azada Investment Specialists. He is sponsoring the ball drop this year, so he got to bring his own special blah blah blah, blah, you know.
Do we know if he knows what's likely to happen? Is he aware of where the glass was sourced?
I believe so, yes. He was specifically the one who bought this thing at black market auction, so presumably he knows what's going on with it. I don't... If he knows what happens now that it's been chopped up, that's beyond me. I couldn't tell you that part, but...
All right. Well, is it already mounted where it's going to drop from, or is it being stored somewhere?
It is not mounted yet. You still got a couple days on that. There's a warehouse down on the Lower East Side under heavy guard. 2 days from now, on the 30th, they'll bring it down to 1 Chronomancy Square, where they'll hoist it to the roof and get that set up.
It's probably better to hit the warehouse than to try and do it in the square.
Agreed.
Too many eyes, too many bodies.
I wonder if we can't source one of these globes ourselves. Maybe get that mounted up beforehand.
If you do, I can get it up to the top. I'm very good at climbing things.
Good to know. I'm not saying that's our best solution, but just putting it on the table is a possible course of action.
The spares are usually with the other ball. Last I heard, they had three
When
of them,
when
but
they're supplied by this when they're supplied by the city, I believe that's true. But if they're supplied by private parties,
Well, if that's the case, I mean, you could always try to swipe one of the ones from the city and swap them out.
hmm.
I don't think it'd be necessary to swap it out. If we get this if we just steal this one before it, they'll just use a regular one on the day of.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
True, but then they might start looking for it. If we can swap them out, then they may not realize that there's been an exchange, and they may not look for it right away. It gives us longer to destroy this thing, because let's face it, we don't want it sticking around.
Alternatively, you don't care about the ball itself. If we just we just we just take the pieces off. We bring those.
it's a lot of pieces. It's a
If
lot
you
of
could do it
pieces.
safely, but that's a lot of pieces, yeah.
And we
It
can't simply
might be
shatter it
easier,
and walk
though,
away, because then it could
because-
just be put back together.
Right. Right. So
Yeah.
Great big doomsday Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah, let's you know, I mean
You
we
said
could get
this
into
was-
we can get into the city storage and swipe one, but we'll need a truck and you know, a uniform to get into that private security spot. I can handle the uniform part though.
What did
All
you
right.
say that the bad thing was made of again? Was it glass?
Mm-hmm.
I can destroy glass I can make it fall apart. If you take all the carbon out, glass isn't glass.
That
suppose that's
sounds
true.
pretty effective.
That is true. Well, in that case, if we have something that can simply unmake whatever this is, that does solve the problem of what happens to it afterwards. So maybe that should be the plan. Simple is better. Break in, Panina, you employ your talents, and we simply walk out. We don't have any large, fragile objects that we have to worry about, and we limit our exposure to observers.
Do we need to hide the material from anyone? In my experience, when we're conducting crimes, there's usually someone other than the authorities you need to make sure doesn't see.
Well, it's probably best if we don't reveal our identities to this Azada investment specialists.
That's probably safe. And yeah, I gotta be honest, you might be onto something with the destroying it and running, because and at this point a fact sheet sort of clicks up on the screen, which does point out that the ball itself, as per in real life, is a 12-foot sphere that weighs 12,000 pounds.
Yeah, no, we weren't carrying that.
Mundane details.
That's why I said we'd need a truck.
Yeah, exactly. We're just rolling it down the street.
I've never worked with a ball that big, but I'd be fine.
All right. Well, in that case, Ileel, I believe it was,
Yeah.
obtaining uniforms for the storage facility might still be worthwhile.
Oh yeah. If we got to get in, it's going to be easier with uniforms.
Exactly. And Taylor?
Sorry, I missed what you're saying.
I was just saying, Taylor, do you have any particular offerings for this job? Anywhere you can see your talents fitting in?
She considers for a second. Reaches into her jacket and pulls out. Not exactly sure how she's wearing the jacket with this thing under it. It's one of them large 70s keyboards, and pulls it out. I can take out any camera systems, and probably and if it comes to it, any physical security.
All right. Well, in that case, we'll need to make sure that we do a little bit of reconnaissance on the location. So, does anybody have particular? Um, does anybody have a particular talent for talking their way into and out of trouble?
I'm not bad at it. Usually, it just disappear and people don't find me. But I can kind of sort of do it.
Out of curiosity, from a stats perspective, a mechanics perspective, I think the stats are: is it fortitude, understanding, erudition, quickness, style, and what's the last one? Or my diplomacy. Okay.
Yeah, so that would be diplomacy. I am
Okay.
I am not bad at talking my way around.
Neither am I. All right. Well, perhaps some of us, one or two of us, possibly Taylor and myself, can go acting as if we're looking to employ this storage facility and just asking questions about some of their logistics and some of their capabilities. Taylor, you can get a look at some of the physical security measures that you may need to be countering, and then we can bring that information back to the other two.
I'll come with you.
Reasonable.
It'll be easy to grab. It'll be easier to grab something while I'm there.
But if you grab something while we're there and someone notices that it's missing, that may.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you
confident, then.
Oh yeah.
if you grab it while we're if you grab it while they're there and they notice it's problem becomes a problem when we go in for the actual job.
Nah, they won't. It's good.
All right. Very well.
All right. In that case, yeah,
All right.
I'll make my way over there with. I think it was Aileel and Taylor were going to come with me.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good.
I'll just hang out here and let me know if you need me to scout anything.
Actually, you may want to look into whether or not since this glass seems to have some sort of alchemical or enchantment treatment to it, you may want to determine whether or not your abilities will interact with that poorly. So can you look into exactly how this glass was created and what it was created, or like what the process was, make sure that it's not going to blow up if you try to use your powers?
Miss Robot, do we know anything about the material?
Darling. I don't have a whole lot of information about that, I'm sorry to say. Because it was kind of created in a freak accident, there's not a whole lot going around, and the fact that it's been in private hands pretty much the entire time it's existed has made it a lot harder to get reliable info. I guess we could try to find some other piece of enchanted glassware and see. I mean, just a matter of scale, right?
Okay.
Magic or no, glass is glass. If your powers don't work, we just smash it.
Nah.
I'm also good at smashing.
Okay, so the thing I'm worried about with that is that if it has some sort of power, now that it's been cut up into 200-something pieces, if you smash it into even smaller pieces, does it still have that power is the problem.
Agreed.
That's the question. That's the important question.
Even small shards of glass, or even glass that's been ground into dust, can be collected and potentially harvested. So we want to ideally completely remove it from the equation. But we'll find out.
I've never before had trouble removing carbon from anything that I've chosen to. So
That's
unless
a good
it's a new
sign.
type of glass that doesn't have carbon, as far as I know, no such thing exists.
All right. Well,
That would be scary, though.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
Shall we? All right.
All right. Do you have your own mode of transportation, or are you using the hover subway? Which I mostly just bring up so I can point out that there's a hover subway.
Well, I think we have to use the hover subway now.
Yeah. Panina definitely always rides on the outside of the hover subway. That is.
Is there a way I can determine whether or not this particular, because you said this like warehouse storage facility has like security.
Absolutely.
That to me implies that it's probably doing well enough that it can afford them. Therefore, it's probably storing stuff for people who can pay. So, can I figure out if this is specifically owned by Azada Investment, or is it a third-party company? And like how like hoity-toity are they? Like, do they just cater to high-class clientele?
Interesting. Okay, well, I think that's going to lead us to making our first check of the game.
Yay!
That sounds like an erudite check to me. You're trying to figure something out with information, so...
Okay.
For Killian, I believe your erudite score is 3, correct?
It's a 3, yeah. So I'm going to draw 3 cards, correct?
Yep. You'll put
Okay.
3 cards on the field.
And is there a specific suit that I'm looking for?
There is. So for erudite checks, you are looking for pentacles and cups.
Okay. I just want to put that out into the deck so that I get pentacles and cups. That's the Knight of Chalices. Chalice is a cup, so I have to imagine that counts.
Sure is.
The Lovers, I get the feeling, is not either of those things.
Major Arcana card.
And Knight of Wands.
Major arcanas are wilds.
So that would be a low major arcana, so that's still only worth 1 point, but it would have the additional effect of letting you draw another wild card to add to your hand.
So I draw another card from the deck and put it in my hand?
If you choose to use it as part of your spread.
Okay, gotcha.
So basically, now that you have these cards, your objective is to score the most points you can get out of them.
Okay.
So with your Knight of Chalices, that's 3 points for a face card.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Lovers, being worth 1 point, would give you 4 total.
Mm-hmm.
Because the wands don't count for this check, right? So your option here, you could take the 4, which is a success, just not a complete one.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could spend one of your points from your health, effort, or stress pools to add a card from your hand as a wild card.
And then, so out of curiosity, the suits, they just determine which cards you can actually include in your spread? Okay, so if I had gotten nothing but wands on this, I would basically be out of luck.
Exactly.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much for explaining that. You know what? We've got points. It's a one-shot. Let's spend them. I'm going to go ahead and spend one from my... It seems like EP is used to activate my trick, right? So I probably don't want to use that. I don't know what else stress points are for, so I'm going to use one of those. And then I will play the Page of Chalices, I think. Because it's the only other... Oh, wait, no, I've got the 5 of Chalices. Sorry. Because the Page of Chalices...
is worth more.
Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you. That's what I was going to...
As wild cards, they'll both be worth their full value playing them from your hand. So you could play either one and adjust as effectively here.
Gotcha. In that case, so the 5 of Chalices will be worth... How much?
Will be worth 3 points here.
3 points, okay. So I'm going to go ahead... I'm going to keep the Page. I don't know if there's a benefit to keeping one over the other in this situation, but I'm going to stick with playing the 5 of Chalices. So then,
okay, perfect.
And then because I used the Lovers in my spread, I get to draw another card from my hand, yes?
You absolutely do, yes.
Okay. Done. Okay, so in that case, that's a 3, a 1, and a 3, which is a total of 7.
7. 6 is the threshold you need for a complete success, so yes, absolutely. So this warehouse is indeed... well, it was owned by a different company until very, very recently. It got purchased out about 2 weeks ago. It does seem like they still have availability for people to rent storage space in the warehouse. but it's not like backtracking, following different paths through its internet history. It's not as accessible as it once was. I mean, it used to be, of course, it was a warehouse. You could just store stuff there. Basically, anybody who could pay was available. Now there's a lot more limited space. It seems like, from what you can tell, they've removed roughly half the storage space, so a lot of it is not available anymore.
Hmm.
But yeah, it doesn't seem to be owned by Azada at the very least. So if it's through Reed, then they've
Shell
somehow covered their
company
tracks.
or
Shell company,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Do I have any idea, like, are there any rumors going around about like what they're using the rest of that space for? Is that something that I can get with part of that success, or if not, that's fine.
No, I don't think there's any solid information. The website says that a lot of the space has been closed off for renovations, but that doesn't really make a ton of sense to you because you wouldn't just tear out one half of the warehouse and not the rest of the storage space, you know? They've got to be building something.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all right. I guess a good little bit of forewarning to have before we get there. So I don't know if anybody else wants to do anything before we arrive, but please do.
I was going to say, the other thing that I'll give you from this, since you got a complete success, is that the website now bills it as top-of-the-line luxury storage. They tout their fancy security systems.
Okay.
Obviously, they don't list it all on the website, but among other things, it mentions some sort of magic detector. That doesn't sound right. That's not how magic works, but that's what they say on the website. You shouldn't be able to just detect it, because if you did, then it would just be going off constantly. This is Ark City.
All right, so we're gonna have to be very careful about employing our talents while we're there. So, Aileal, I don't know how you were planning on achieving what you wanted to do, but just be aware of this.
Oh yeah, it's all good.
All right. In that case, shall we?
Yep.
Okay.
Since there's
Alrighty.
apparently magic detection stuff on site, just to play it safe, Pena is not going in with us, so Taylor is going to take off her her jacket, all of the clanking, and she's going to pass it over. Just keep this safe. Don't touch anything in it.
Okay. Just holding it excitedly, shaking.
She's vibrating like a chihuahua.
It's the loneliest woman in her 30s you've ever encountered.
All right. So before we leave, Pena's gonna so Aileal's gonna ask, binoculars?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Binoculars?
Surely we've got some. Yes. Rummage around and find some. She hands them over. Here you go.
Did you just make me binoculars?
No, they're in the truck.
Totally normal thing to come in a truck.
They were in a truck. Okay, that's fine. Sure.
Maybe Panina is a bird watcher. We don't know.
Don't you? When I'm provided vehicles, they always have things for my spying.
All right.
I'll take the binoculars. She slips them up there, hiding inside of the coat, strap is across
Naturally.
instead, and now they're under the coat, so nobody really sees them. They'll think it's like a purse if they really want to dig for it.
Absolutely. It's a magic cyberpunk setting. You can hide absolutely anything you want under a cool enough trench coat.
I mean, yeah, it's perfect.
Anything else? You don't need any armor when you go in, do
Killian
you?
doesn't store stuff like that under his trench coat because it ruins the line of the coat. But you could if you wanted to.
Oh, jeez. All right, so we go to the warehouse, right? Anything else? No.
All right. Now, as previously mentioned, this warehouse is on the Lower East Side. It's actually set kind of apart from the other warehouses in the area. Normally, they'd be pretty tight-packed because, of course, space is a premium in New York, but this one has a fair amount of yard going on around it. Fairly standard operations in the yard. Front-end loaders moving giant crates back and forth. There's no, deliveries going on today, which is maybe a little strange as to why these loaders are moving stuff, because there's no trucks there to drop anything off. And yeah, at the edge of the fence there is a guard post where someone is waiting to check people in.
Aileel, are you coming with us, or are you just kind of scouting out the area?
She's just going to be scouting in parts of the area. Like, how close she gets will depend on how easily she can use the binoculars to figure out what the name of the security company is.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, Taylor, I guess it's you and me.
I
So
suppose it is. And yeah, she's going to walk up and so what do we see at the front there?
So at the very front, the whole place is fenced in at the perimeter, but there is a station at the front where there's kind of like a toll booth, a guard standing in a booth to scan people in. This is on a road. Ideally, people would come in with trucks or cars or what have you, but you can just walk up to it with no trouble. It's Inside, there is a guy sort of boredly flipping through a magazine.
Yeah, she's going to go walk up to the desk and pull her hand right on the pages of his magazine, and he's like, "Excuse me, we would like to inquire about getting some storage space. Who would we need to speak to about that?"
He sort of starts when you approach. He definitely did not see you coming. He was very distracted by this week's, Sports Illustrated, Magic Sports Illustrated.
I love that it's just Magic Sports Illustrated. That's the only difference. It's the only thing that's different.
It's those weird deep water swimmers issues, so they're all in the really tight wetsuits.
Exactly, yeah. Sorry, what? Looking to space rent?
Yes, there you go. You're catching on.
Okay, it's a little, Could I ask you to make for me, are you... I guess the question I have here, do you think you're trying to trick him, or is this more of a pure, affability, friendliness rule?
Underhanded and diplomacy are both 3, so...
Okay, well, either way, your choice then.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with underhanded then.
Underhanded. Okay, then you will be looking for wands and pentacles.
It's a
Ooh,
coin.
nice. Coins are apparently the pentacles in this deck.
Okay.
So.
Oh, the Fool. And swords. Right, so that is a high card and a low major tarot.
It is indeed. So you're looking at 4 on the field right now.
Okay. What? And what are the suits again that I want?
The suits you're looking for are, sorry, was this underhanded or erudite? I already forgot. My apologies.
Underhanded.
Staves and pentacles, so ones and coins.
Okay. Out of I got another high wand, so I will spend a point of. I will spend a point of stress to play that.
Okay, perfect.
Excuse me, I said spend that. I said spend a point. There we go.
Yeah, fighting with the spreadsheets. That's what it's all about.
So that should give me a 6 and whatever the fool's major effect is, correct? 7.
Unfortunately, the Fool's major effect isn't really going to help you here, because what the
Okay.
Fool does is that even if you fail a check, there are no negative consequences.
Well,
So since this is a complete success, there wouldn't be any of those anyway.
that's fine.
So yes, he sort of sputters and stutters. It's a little strange. Usually, folks would call the office to inquire, but I guess I can call
Yeah, so
somebody to walk you back there if that's okay.
That doesn't exactly give us the opportunity to see what the operation really looks like now, does it?
Well, I suppose that's true. Yeah.
All right, come on.
It's a warehouse. Do you need to? Okay.
Come on, tell your manager. Let's go.
All right. So he calls in on his it's a walkie-talkie, but it's just a rock. He talks into a rock for a second, and a couple minutes later, a new person walks out to take you back into the offices. Because of course he's not going to leave his post. He's dedicated.
Sure he is.
So while they're doing all this, I'm trying to spot who the security company is.
Okay. Security company.
Like if they're in
Interesting.
uniforms, it's like usually a patch on one of their shoulders. If they're in like polos, it'd be a name emblazoned on the polo. Typical from what
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
what we see.
I guess what I'm trying to decide here, I think it wouldn't be that difficult for you to find that, because you're right, it is on the uniforms.
Yeah.
So I'm
I don't want to get
debating
too
asking
close,
you
so
to
I get
draw
seen,
anything.
but I want to see
So
it. You know.
since you've got the binoculars, I don't think this needs to be a challenge. I think you can just get this information. If you want to make it a challenge, that's okay. I can try and give you more, but otherwise I'll just tell you the name.
Yeah, what's the name?
It's Wizzex, Wizzex.
And then I'm going to
Security
look them
Solutions.
up and go to their offices so I can get a uniform. Or 4.
Sounds good. From your brief exploration of the internet, Wizzex is a premier security company because, after all, when everyone has magic, it can be really hard to protect your gear. So they specialize in countering magical means of theft.
Oh, fancy.
So as the name, as in ex-wizard, you see.
It's wizard spelled with 2 Z's.
Yes, exactly.
Wizard.
Such an uncouth term.
Not a fan of wizards?
It's an old line. I can't remember where it's from now, but every time I hear wizard now, I just think of some like random piece of promotional material being like, wizard, such an uncouth term.
Marvelous.
Now that we know that it's Wizzex and we know the location, can we find anything online as far as plans of the storage facility, blueprints that we could make use of for planning?
That, I think, would be more difficult. I'm going to have to ask for a check
Ooh,
for
I'm
that.
gonna be terrible at this. Excellent.
My instinct is to say erudite, since you're searching for information. If you have a different style you want to argue for, I'm willing to listen.
Well,
But
considering that's a 0, why don't I make an argument for that it's underhanded, since this is kind of we'll say instead of looking online, she hits the streets and looks for looks for contacts with people that she's worked with in the past to see if anybody can get her some lowdown now that we have the names, rather than going the cyber route.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, let's go ahead and make an underhanded check then. So for underhanded, you are looking for staves and pentacles.
Staves and pentacles. Okay. Just drag it out here. There we go.
Well,
All right.
uh,
Got 3 to start with. And since there was nothing else fancy out of these 2 cards, I can't draw anything. I can't spend to draw extra, can I?
not really, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Now you can
This is-
choose to play a card from your hand. If someone is taking the help action, they can play a card from their hand for you. It's kind of going to be down to how you want to roll this. The main thing to remember is that in most cases your hand doesn't refresh until the end of the session, so if you spend all your wild cards early, you're out.
Gotcha. Okay. We'll just stick with it as is. So this is what, a minor failure then, with the 3.
Well,
Or is
no,
that-
there's not really such a thing as a minor failure in this setting.
Okay.
You've got your full-on failure, and then your strenuous success, and your mixed success, and your complete success. This is a strenuous success, which means you are going to get what you want, but it's going to cost you something. So
Gotcha.
I think this is probably going to take a 2-point hit to your stress pool, because you're just out there having to talk to people constantly, and you're used to being in the sewers. It's just a lot of socializing.
It's exhausting. even for her, she's a little bit like run down by the end of it, and is talking a little bit slower. She stopped bobbing quite so much.
It's like what happens to Mrs. Giggles when she's out out at a party.
Right?
Uh,
For me, that's like 5 minutes in. Okay, perfect.
Okay. So, with this check, you were specifically looking for a blueprint of the place, or
Blueprints or plans. Since this is underworld, it may not be specifically blueprints. It might be a rumor that somebody had heard of that would be useful, but some useful information in terms of that facility in getting us in.
okay, yeah, perfect. So the thing that I think I'm gonna say is, it's a little weird. People on the streets are kind of reluctant to talk about WizX because no one quite knows what the deal is. There's a lot of rumors flying around, especially about this magic detection thing that they claim to have invented, which again shouldn't work. But this kind of goes all over the place. Like, rumor has it that somehow the guards have some sort of magic cancellation field, which, if that's true, that's just unbelievable. Like, no, that would shut down Ark City if that was real. That can't be right. No way. But mostly, I think what you find, there are several people who know different ways into this warehouse, different weaknesses in the perimeter security that they used to exploit before it got bought out by WizX. Whether those are still viable, I couldn't tell you. Well, I guess I could, but I won't. But
They
yeah,
can't tell
you.
me.
But yeah, so you've got 3 different access points if you choose to try and sneak in rather than go in through the front door. You just don't know which of them are, like, solid. One of them involves coming up under the harbor, under the fence line there. Another one is just a weak spot in the fence where someone cut it and then managed to make it look like it was still in place with a piece of illusion magic. And one of them is just, I don't even know if this is a valuable tip, but one of the people you talk to does claim to have shot a grappling hook through the window and just ziplined in through the upper story.
Oh, yeah.
Panina's like, okay, well, ranking in terms of coolness, we've got.
All right. So I'm at the WizX building. Gonna go in and get myself some uniforms somehow.
Absolutely. Just walking in the front door of the building.
Actually, I'm gonna look around for a little bit and see if there's a spot where the uniforms are coming in and out a lot. People wearing uniforms are coming in and out.
Yeah, absolutely. There is rear access to this building. It's not the best place to be, but they're a security company. They're well trained, so this rear access is into an alleyway down back. It's closer access to the subway or the hover subway, so that's why people are going in and out that way. And yeah, there are definitely uniformed guards using that back door for sure.
Okay. I am going to bump into one that's roughly my size and take their uniform as I walk past on their way in the crowded subway space.
Excellent. I think now might be a good time to introduce your playbook.
So my playbook is the is the thief playbook. It is the art aspect thief, and my power straight up is I can just take things off another person that they're wearing.
Literally the clothes off their back.
Literally the clothes off their back. I never envisioned when I thought of this. I never thought I would be like taking a uniform. I thought, oh, some guy's going to walk by with a really cool jacket. I'm just going to take it and spin on another cooler looking jacket. Nope.
Now, do you exchange something you're wearing for the piece of clothing that you're taking? Okay, all right, cool.
No, not the way it's currently set up. So there's just going to be a person with no clothes on in the subway, which everyone thinks is perfectly normal.
Oh goodness me. If I recall correctly, there is a draw to activate your power, so if we could... Let's see. Steal an aspect. Yes, that is an underhanded draw.
It is. I have underhanded of 3.
Wonderful. So for an underhanded draw, once again, we're looking for staves and pentacles. We have a favorite suit, I think.
Hierophant, the sun,
Oh,
and the holy shit, nothing but major arcana.
I mean, that's
God.
a draw.
The point, and those are, I mean, sure, the Hierophant's a low point card,
Right.
but that's a pair of 6s. That's a pair of 3s up there with the star and the sun.
It is.
a whole lot of side effects.
Well, so only the one that you select as your, quote, bonus card will activate the side effects. That's
Okay.
Yeah, you got 2 main cards and then a bonus card. They'll all count towards your point total, but only one has the bonus effect. So you'll need to pick which one of those you want for that. For the sun, the star, and the Hierophant. The Hierophant is worth 2 extra value on this action. I don't know if you need that one, honestly. The star replenishes your effort points back to full, and the sun lets you choose one of your effort pools and restore it to full.
Right now, they're all full. I haven't used any, so unless
Alas.
this is gonna, so unless this costs me points to do, I'm not gonna have
Not
anything
for
to
a standard
refill.
action, no. Not unless you wanted to play something from your hands, but I don't know why you would.
Yeah. So looking at the character sheet for the people watching, You have a base power, and then there's you can you get upgraded or another power at level 5, and then again at level 10. It says so. As Ben asked, can you exchange something for the other person? That might be a future power that would upgrade her current set of powers.
But yeah, well, I mean, I can hardly say no to a. I think that's a 9 total on your draw, which is way over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You have this uniform, no problem. No one even notices that this man is now in his underwear.
Yep. This person's wandering around in their underwear. She's in uniform. She goes, she's goes in the back door, and then this is where it gets tricky. Is she's got to steal 3 more uniforms, roughly the size, appropriate sizing for her compatriots. We can come back to me if you want to go to someone else.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and swap back to our team who are over here at the warehouse. You are led by your guard through, it's one of those where the office is on the second story up a set of stairs, so you get a pretty good look at the warehouse laid out before you. The back half is definitely obscured with just ridiculous amounts of plastic sheeting. This place is huge. But the front seems pretty standard. I mean, they talk on their website about how much security and how high-end this place is, but it kind of looks like they're just storing stuff on the floor and, in some cases, like special rooms built into the sides. It's not... it's a warehouse. There's only so much you can do.
While we are being shown around, what am I seeing for like cameras and other like electronic equipment around?
I think go ahead and make me a quick poll just to assess your situation.
Okay, that's only a 1. Let's see what we get.
And for quick, swords and cups.
So that is worthless.
Afraid so. You can always play something from your hand. If someone is helping you, they could spend an effort point to play something from their hand.
How can I help?
Well, right now what's going on is just scoping out security, right? So
Yeah.
I don't think it's a stretch at all to say that you're both doing that while you're walking.
Okay.
So if you wanted to spend a point, you can.
An EP.
Sounds good.
Okay. And then I will
My hand
take
is
one of
not
my...
useful.
Gotcha.
Alas.
So I'm playing something from my hand though, right? Not allowing...
Yes, you play something.
Okay.
If you're helping, you're playing something from your hands to add to this check.
And sorry, the suits again were...
1 second. The suits for quick checks are cups and swords.
I've got what is that? A 7 of swords? An 8 of swords. How much is that worth? I'm sorry. It's a wild card, right? Because I'm playing it from my hand.
It's a wild card, right? So it's going to
Okay.
be worth 3 either way.
Okay. I will play that because I feel like cups has come up more often. There we go.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Oh wait, it's
So with
swords. It was swords and cups. Oh, okay. I do have them, but they're both low cards. So, what would they be worth if I did play one?
playing them from your hand, they'd be worth 3. So if you added another wild card to this set, you could have a full success, or you could take the strenuous.
I am going to save it for now, just because I am already spent 1. I want to actually try to have something left for the actual heist.
Well, you don't want to throw it all on prep work? I don't get it. All right. Let's see. A strenuous success. I think then what I'll say, you're able to pick out the security cameras pretty effectively. The brand is they're proprietary. WizX made them themselves. They're all in house. Either that or it's in custom casings, so you don't recognize the original brand. Um, you can find them without any difficulty. They're in several locations along the front of this wall. Obviously, you're not going to be able to see where they are in the back, but you can kind of extrapolate just based on where they're positioned from the front from what you're seeing here. The more concerning thing is that roughly every 20 feet around the perimeter of the roof is just a sort of square box, not even a foot wide on each side. And they each and every one of them just has the WizX logo on it, just the big W with the lightning bolt through the middle. You have no idea what those are. You're certain that they're connected to the security system somehow, just based on the way they're spaced around the roof, but what it is, big question mark. And since you're scoping out security systems, I'll say you also note the alarm wires surrounding the windows as you go upstairs. Seems like they're probably pressure sensitive. If something were to break these windows, they'd be going off pretty quick. Which raises some questions about the guy who claims to have ziplined in here.
Well, then I'll just ask the guy who's showing us around. Point out one of the boxes. Like, what are those things?
Yes, of course. Yes. Well, we can't say a whole lot about how they actually work, but those are, of course, our patented wizard diff turrets. It's in-time magic technology. Keeps people from just portaling in here and taking your goods back out with them. Of course, the ground is warded, sealed, all sorts of 6 ways to Sunday. Any different type of magic you can think of, but the boxes are where the real magic happens. Wink.
Make a note of its side objectives. Steal one of the boxes. Okay.
All right, so then I'm assuming we're getting kind of led around on a tour or something like this. Like,
yeah, you're shown around the front area and then eventually led up to the front office, which overlooks the warehouse area below. Feel free to dip out at any time, but the office is where you would schedule appointments to store things here, so that's maybe your goal? I'm not super sure.
okay.
I mean, my goal with this was just to basically get to see the floor and do this. The appointment was just a pretense to get in, so I have no particular interest in actually caring about what the manager actually says in the office unless something of note comes up.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I want to try to steer the conversation to things like, why is there so little space left? Like, you guys seem like you have plenty of facility and half of it's not being used. Like, if I'm going to be storing something here of particular value or a certain level of secrecy, I want to make sure that whatever else you have going on here isn't going to jeopardize that.
Oh, of course. Absolutely reasonable. No, the back half of the facility is currently being upgraded. We here at WizX want to provide luxury storage solutions. It's all well and good to have your goods stored in a warehouse, but we want to make sure that everyone has exactly the environment they need for their goods. We're installing climate control in several of the rooms. We're adding more rooms, of course, because frankly, who wants to be out on a warehouse floor? Am I right? No, it's just a series of progressive upgrades that are moving around through the facility.
I see. All right.
I believe that's supposed to be finished sometime next month, if you'd be interested in coming back for those.
All right.
Yes,
Good to know.
I
I'll
believe
tell you
that
on
would.
my end.
I believe that would suit our position well.
I'll tell you on my end, it's kind of an inconvenience. I mean, it's hard to do rounds around the floor when half the floor is tarped off. You have to go through the exit and back, and it's a pain. But it's worth it, I'm sure.
Hmm.
That's an evil chuckle.
When we were meeting with the robot, did we get did it know where in the warehouse the ball was stored? Did it have
It
any
did
of
not
that?
have that information, no.
Okay.
All it could tell you was the location of the warehouse itself.
Okay then.
I will say you haven't seen anything on the floor that seems likely to
That
be
seems-
your target.
Doesn't that
Unless
have
it's
seen
been
anything like
completely
large enough
disassembled.
or?
Yeah, nothing. There's definitely some boxes, maybe, but they would have to have disassembled it completely if they were storing it here. It's just a 12-foot sphere is not. There's no crates quite that large.
Okay.
I would like to. Whoever it is giving us the tour. I'd like to say, I'm looking to store a. It's a single unit, somewhat valuable, but the overall dimensions, and I'm going to give dimensions that are like a little bit bigger than, not exactly the same as the New Year's ball, a little bit bigger than, and just say, like, you don't seem to have anything here that would allow for that. Do you have another facility that can store something of that size, or is the back area under construction capable of doing so?
Well, yeah, I should say that's an option. I mean, not for nothing, but of course the back half of the warehouse is completely empty while the rooms are under renovation, so if you had something like that, then yes, as I say, it would take about a month to finish construction in that area, but yeah, that there's absolutely room. Might need to take two sections though. It's sectioned out by square footage, so
All right. And so you do have things currently like being housed there. So I wouldn't have to wait till next week or till next month in order to store this if I chose to go with you.
um no, we definitely don't. Like I say, it's not safe for objects to be back there at the moment. That's why the delay.
Does that
It is.
seem like he's legit, like he's telling the truth here?
Yeah, there's something about the way he's hesitating. You get the sense that there is something back there that
Yeah,
he just
okay.
doesn't want to talk about. Yeah. I'm not
Okay.
even going to have you roll for that. Or draw, I guess. Card games.
All right. Well, in that case, it sounds to me like you guys won't be able to accommodate our needs on our timeline. So thank you for your time. And I suppose good luck with the renovations.
Yeah, it is a shame, but I'm glad you came in at least. At
So am
WizX,
I.
we're always happy to serve.
It was very enlightening. And I'll shake his hand. And unless Taylor has anything else, I think that's probably about what we needed.
All right.
Okay.
Well, with that, as y'all exit the warehouse, I think it's about time for us to go to break. It's
Okay.
3:30 where I am, so let's go ahead and take about 10 minutes, and then we will be back with the back half of this adventure and the actual heist.
Yeah, we'll take a quick break, and while we're on break, we'll run an ad roll right before we come back, so that pre-rolls get turned off as we come right back. So
Sounds good.
see you
See
soon.
y'all in a few.
We're live.
Hello, and welcome back to All on the Table Side Quests. In the first half of our episode today, our party was hired to steal the New York Times ball. I'm sorry, I don't know why I keep saying the New York Times, the Times Square ball, which is set to drop at New Year's Eve, which within the fiction is 3 days from today. It's been impregnated with the remains of a powerful magical relic, which will probably have some sort of devastating mind control effect on the populace if it actually works. Uh, they investigated a warehouse where it was being stored to discover the security measures, and stole a man's clothes and left him naked on the subway. So I think we'll cut back in with Aileel, who is still deep in the guts of the Wizax Security Corporation.
Man, Ark City Arcane Blues is mad. Is just mad, absolutely mad. This game. All right. She's going to steal 3 more sets of uniforms.
Okay. All right.
That's all. Not necessarily off of other people. She's just going to acquire 3 more sets of uniforms somehow.
Understandable.
Pulling them out of lockers, stuff like that.
I think we can make that just one big check. So if you want to do an underhanded check, we can call that for all 3 of them. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Sounds
underhanded, you are looking for wands and coins.
Wands and coins.
You are on fire.
Oh God!
I mean, honestly.
What the hell's the death card do?
Unstoppable. Which was dead.
Not bad.
If you succeed in this check and it's a oh yeah, it doesn't. It's a
Okay.
combat card, but oh my gosh.
Yeah. The other option, of course, is the High Priestess, which is worth +2 on underhanded checks.
It's worth +2, and that's going to. I mean, that's obviously what I'm going to pick because the High Priestess might only be worth 1, but that makes it a 3, and the 6 of Wands plus Death is going to bump me over 6.
It sure will. So yeah, that is a perfect success. I think you are pretty easily able to locate the facility's laundry. They keep that near the back because they don't want the heat to overwhelm folks. And yeah, it is no trouble at all because you have the run of the place. You can take as many uniforms as you like.
I take several. Roughly the sizes of my compatriots. And gather the equipment. The shoulder belt, the walkie-talkie belts, and all packs.
Absolutely,
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I slip out the back door
is...
again.
Absolutely. Since this is such a good success, I'll say you do spot some of those same silver boxes with the logo on them, just positioned various places around the rooms. They don't seem to be doing anything, but just for continuity of scene, they are in both places. So
I have no idea what they are because I wasn't there for any of the other touring. So she's just going to ignore them and head on out and head back to the other place. Probably a few wander around the hoverways, stops, change clothes, back to her. They take off the uniform and bundle everything up and then just, eventually she's back.
Fantastic. All right. So the lot of you reconvene. I think for simplicity's sake, let's say back at the store where you first met, because that way we don't have to come up with a new secret lair.
Of course, that was the plan all along.
Naturally. Why would you think otherwise? Obviously. So you have your uniforms and you have your information. What's the plan?
Polina very excitedly begins telling everyone about the 3 locations and before anyone can before the 2 people that went inside can explain what they got, she very excitedly explains how in depth how cool the zip lining through the window is going to be and how that's going to look perfectly, and even starts to attempt to come out with a choreography before Killian and Taylor managed to interrupt her to explain how that's a non-starter.
sweetie, no.
Oh, but it was gonna. We were gonna. I thought of a star pattern with only 4 people. That's hard.
They have sensors on the windows. You're not going to zip. We're not going to zip line through.
What kind of sensors are they? Sometimes those are ones that are very easy for me to disable.
Are you going to be able to disable them while you are ziplining through them, though?
Oh no, you're right. We won't be able to. I can say we won't be able to zip line.
I don't know.
But
I do agree.
It
It
sounds
sounded
like
very
maybe we
fun.
could still go in through the windows up top. That's still some high up is usually a good place to go into to a place to avoid guards.
So I feel it's worth mentioning at this point that that the building is mostly made out of like concrete, right? Like kind of standard building construction.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's like concrete and sheet metal, very durable. It's
Okay.
meant to weather sea storms.
I feel it's worthwhile to, at this point, I should mention that I can give us a way through through the building fairly easily.
Oh, will that not make an alarm go off? Then yes, then we can very easily get in. I can dissolve
Probably.
concrete.
Okay. Well, then never mind. That trumps my ability. So do your thing.
What's your
What's-
ability again? You do something cool with concrete, right? You make it foamy.
I do, but not as useful as dissolving it. So I think you've got this.
Oh, okay. I can get us in then.
Well, I mean, if one of us falls off the roof based on what's being told here, we might need that ability.
That sounds very good. It makes me feel very safe.
Once we get, regardless of how we get through the concrete, once we are in, I should be able to take out the cameras and the alarms. It will raise a commotion, but it will be at least enough to delay outside authorities from coming in.
At this point, there's like a crashing noise from the back room, and Delia takes off. The robot person, they just say something about spot knocking things over.
Okay. And goes back to listening to Taylor lay out the plan for her part. What were you saying, dear?
Once we get into the building, I can take out the cameras and alarms. This will raise a commotion. It'll get noticed, but it'll keep them from radioing out and calling in reinforcements from the company or the police, and it'll keep us off cameras, so they won't be able to find us later.
Good idea. I usually just run through at this point and then go grab the thing. Can we get me through at that point, or do we need to do anything else? Maybe should we try wearing something? Maybe like while the uniforms are like out and have already been presented. Is there anything that like maybe we could do like to get inside? Hey. Hey, Leo, can I borrow one of your new pieces of clothing?
That's what they're for.
Oh, thank you. No one's ever gotten me new clothing before. She goes over and runs and gives you a hug.
Okay, that's nice, dear.
Lovely.
All right.
So, do we need to come up with a way to get through the initial security cameras and things before we get into the building? We've got our plan for getting inside now.
That's definitely your biggest hurdle at this point. Since the area is fenced out, you could use that weak part of the fence that you learned about earlier to try and get past the guards without having, a checkpoint, but that puts you at risk of being spotted and people knowing you're not supposed to be there.
Hmm.
The under the harbor entrance, would that be like an underground entrance then to the facility itself, or does that take us up onto the grounds after the?
Yeah, that would take you up onto the grounds. That's for people who come in with shipping containers and ships to sort of bring their boats in and unload from there. So if you were to go underwater, you'd be able to get right up there without having to worry about the fence.
Does
And
anybody have
conveniently
anything
enough, that
that
would also
can
put you in the
keep
back
us
half of the warehouse.
dry or dry us off? I've noticed on the times that I've come in from water, I tend to get lots of questions from security if I walk past them.
I cannot. The focus I need to take out the cameras is electronic. I cannot go underwater.
Okay.
Killian, do you think we could get past that security guard very easily at the front? You two seem to get in pretty easily before, but how do you think it'll work now with us in uniform? Will they just let us wave us through, or?
He was pretty distracted when we first went in. So, assuming it's the same guard, which it probably won't be. Also, depending on if we're going in at night, which seems like it would make the most sense. Things aren't going to be exactly the way they were when we went through the first time, but the security seemed lax enough, I suppose I'll say. So, hopefully we can rely on that this time as well.
The only concern is the magic detectors, if they actually work.
That is true.
Do we?
Well, we won't have any active magic when we walk through with the uniforms on, so that should be helpful, right?
Do we want to see if we can test one of them beforehand?
I mean, that'd be a whole other job to go in and steal one and then get back out.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
no, dear. I meant to see if we can set it off and see how they react. We could go at a different time of day in a different disguise and throw something magical towards it, and then run away.
I suppose that's true.
And then someone can watch.
That's not a bad plan, and
She starts jumping up and down when she hears that praise. Plan.
so yes, during business hours, you should go up to the front. Go up to the front. See if you can set off the magic detector, and then get back out as fast as you can. We will be on standby outside in case anything goes wrong.
Okay.
Once we determine that, we can figure out what to do when we actually hit it at night.
So
Sounds good.
we might be able to. Well, actually, hold on. So as a transmuter, if I turn something into something else, do I have to be touching it?
Good question. Let's see.
No. Let's hope it's no.
Yeah, because if it is, that makes transmuters way less useful than I thought they were.
Um, I'm sorry to say, it does say work your magic using your transmutation ability on something you can touch.
Where does it say that?
That's under your archetype actions.
Oh, I see.
Well, those two specific actions that we all have based on our playbook. Okay.
I think,
Okay.
and this is GM ruling, this isn't in the book, I think I would be willing to let you attempt it without being able to touch it, but it would take a -1 penalty to your card draw.
Okay. Because I mean, if we just all we want to do is test it, we don't necessarily have to. We don't necessarily have to go in to do that. We could theoretically work a bit of magic on something that's already there, and then see if it detects that. So, if we get a small piece of Panina, you're strong, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
So
good at putting force in the right spot. She's
Okay.
somewhat dainty, so I'm explaining it as her being smart with her moves rather than just like.
Are you good at throwing things? Like, can you throw something pretty far?
Yes,
Okay.
that was my plan actually. I'm going to create some magic tonight to have ready as a test, and then we can also create some magic on the spot. We want to know if we can bring magic with us, right? So we need to test both.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I was just thinking we can take a piece of concrete, and you can I'll turn it into some foam rubber, just a small piece. That way, when you throw it, it hits the building. It's not going to cause any damage. It probably won't get noticed. Then I let it change. Then I change it back, and then if that gets detected, we know that they can detect magic. If it doesn't, well, at least we have an idea that maybe they can't.
Oh, perfect. Then I can prepare something else in case we need it, rather than
And then
preparing the test.
if they find a random piece of concrete sitting on the ground, that's not really all that out of the realm of weird or of normal, and nothing's been damaged, so it works out.
Perfect. You're so smart, Killian. It gives you a high 10. If you don't do anything, she just runs past you and just does the whiff.
No, Killian will definitely oblige. He looks a little bit like he's not quite into it, but he's not going to leave you hanging. He's a gentleman after all.
The gentleman always high 10s a lady.
I love it.
Okay. I'll make something else then for tomorrow. Does anyone? I'm thinking of some wire cutters or climbing equipment for tomorrow, unless anyone has any other ideas. So Panina's her downtime ability is she can basically prepare to transform, and then can looks like I discard a card or some mechanic instead of a test to be able to accomplish my transformation instead of having the possibility of failure. But that's what she will be doing then, I think tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah, perfect.
So then, yeah.
All right. Is there anything else that we want to say here, or shall we jump ahead to the test?
I think the test is probably a good idea.
All right. Midnight in Ark City. It's still light out, but it's less light because of the time of day, and more light because of all the witch light glaring from the windows of the buildings around. Even down here in this more restrained, I'm gonna say, part of the warehouse district, it's still very. There's lights all over the place. It wouldn't be difficult for you to sneak around between them, they're far enough spread out, but just all sorts of wild reds and blues and neon pinks, and it is a brightly colored part of the city.
Wow.
Approaching the exterior fence of this warehouse, you do see a pair of guards sort of split off, each of them heading a different direction around the exterior of the warehouse. It seems like they're doing their rounds.
Okay, can we time the throw to like when the guards aren't around, but also kind of so that it doesn't fly right through like a spotlight?
You absolutely can.
Panina, her prepared shapeshift for today is a basically a highlight bat that that is morphing onto her hand, which will allow for much easier control of the throw.
Beautiful.
Also increases range.
All right. So then,
Right.
yeah, I will have come prepared with a small chunk of concrete, and I'll turn it into a piece of foam rubber, and foam rubber isn't like super light, so it should still fly reasonably well. At least I would hope. Actually, can I turn it into a like a concrete core with foam rubber around the outside so that it still has the weight and the heft and can fly?
I
But
think
it'll
that's
still
doable,
land?
yeah.
Okay.
Do need you to go ahead and give me a transmute action, but other than that,
Okay. Transmute is going to be. Hold on. Let me see if I can figure this out. So this is Opus, which is, yep, erudition, it looks like.
Yep.
Okay,
And
perfect.
so for erudite, you're going to be looking for coins and cups.
Coins and cups. All right. So 1, 7 of chalices. 2, King of Wands. 3, 4 of Wands. So
Ooh,
the 4 of
you're
Wands I don't think applies. The 7 of chalices will. The King of Wands is one of those fancy cards.
Well, it's a face card, but it's still the wrong suit, so I'm
Oh,
afraid
it's
that's
okay.
not gonna.
Okay. I didn't know if it was one of the other ones. Okay, so in that case, I think I will. Let's see, because on a mixed success, I pick one complication. I don't want that one. I already took an SP and you know what? What the heck? I'll go ahead and I'll lose a hit point because this is a mixed success as it is, right? Or is this not
I
high
believe
enough?
this is a strenuous success because the mixed
Oh, I
success
see.
threshold is 4 and 5.
Oh, 4 and 5. Okay. Well, in that case, I guess I would spend one of my other things to play one of my cards. And I will play. I'll do one of those. Why not? Okay. So then I think that gives me
Which would give you a 6.
a 6, I think.
Oh well,
Still
so
not
much the
totally
better.
clear. Still not totally clear on the values of the like the 7s and stuff like that. But
Yeah, it's so the low cards 2 through 5 are worth 1 point, and then the
okay,
high
thank you.
cards 6 through I think it's 10, 9, I don't recall, are worth 2 points,
Okay, got it. Thank you.
and then the faces are 3. So
My page
So in that case,
is
I think
3,
it's a
so that's really
5.
helpful.
In that case, I think that's a 5 because it's a 7 of chalices, so that's the right suit. It's worth 2
right,
points, and the page of chalices is +3.
perfect.
So
Sounds good. And yeah, so then that will bring you to a strenuous success, and you were saying something about needing to pick a side effect.
Yes, I'm going to go with the one that causes harm, so I take 1 point of HP damage. And I think
Okay.
I think that's everything I need. So
It sure is.
okay.
Yeah, twisting this lump of concrete in your hand, you're easily able to change the exterior. When it comes to leaving the center intact, it's just a little bit trickier. You have to put a little bit more of yourself into it than you thought you were going to, but you're able to make it no problem. You've got this very solid yet sort of bouncy projectile.
Perfect. Then I'll hand that over to Panina. Let her rip. Try to aim for the spot like there, if you could. No windows or anything like that.
Okay. She's aiming it so that it's gonna land like within 6 feet of one of those squares, up on the roof, and hopefully in a
Okay.
way that pretty much that does its best to avoid the security cameras as well.
Absolutely.
So to do my transformation for free, I discard one of my first went off of that area looking at something else. One of my major cards, which is just one of the cards in my hand, right?
The major arcana are specific ones, like the death and the sun, and the ones that Jen has been pulling all day.
Yeah. Gotcha.
They all have names, whereas like king of this or queen of that or part of the face.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So if I don't have a major arcana wild card in my hand, then I can't do that, basically.
I'm afraid so.
Okay. Well, she realizes that she did not prepare this correctly and will instead now perform a check to attempt to create a highlight. So she reaches down to the ground and just siphons out the needed carbon and begins focusing to create the curvature needed to. And her arm just sort of like begins extending into the shape. Is kind of what it looks like as the carbon is like latching itself on, like Sandman style. Just all right. So now I need to make a check. So what check do I do to?
The shape changer's
Style,
ability uses
looks like.
stylish.
Which is good.
That's a first for today.
I'm good at
Stylish is going to be swords and coins.
Oh, good. I've been good at drawing swades
You
today.
got coins. That's good.
Ooh, oh dear.
Did not do so well on it right now.
That's still a coins. You got a
Yeah.
5 of coins.
There is one
so
there,
that's
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's worth 1 point. It's not
Not so great.
it's not ideal, but it is one.
Okay, so and then from the cards from my hand, do they have to be of the correct suit in order to be played, or can I play any of them as to assist me?
I believe they need to be of the correct suit. Let me double check on that to make absolutely certain.
Okay.
Yes, it does have to be that suit.
Okay, I do have one card that applies, so I'm going to bring this up to a 4 at least.
Okay. Well, remember, playing a card from your hand, it counts as a 3 of that style. So that's going to be worth 3 points, actually. So that'll make you a 4 total.
That's what I meant. 4. I meant 4 total.
Okay.
Not giving
Okay,
me
my
an
mistake.
extra point. Sorry, I should have
You
declared.
it's
I
all
should have
good.
properly noted
just
how I
played
was
that
doing
3 of
math
swords
there.
from your hand?
Yes.
I think something's wrong with the tarot deck.
What's that? Do you have one in your hand also?
I have one in my hand too.
It might have been set so that the cards appear in the deck like an infinite number of times, rather than the deck having a limited number of cards and then needing to be shuffled.
Sure. So
Okay.
it's just infinite probability.
Yeah, there's
a
specific setting you have to
reality.
toggle on if you want that.
No,
Oh,
we're not going to worry
okay.
about it because
Yeah.
we are
We're too far
already
in to
there.
worry about
Would
it.
also
Sure,
explain
exactly.
how I got so many of the major arcana already.
Well, it's good to know that
Alright.
my luck is truly horrible overall, and it's not dependent upon you just getting the luck of it first. That's okay. This fits. Nothing. Polina has nothing go right in her life. She has definitely had some hard knocks. So, all right.
Oh,
So we're at
no.
4 here at least, which is what level of success again? Sorry.
That would be a strenuous success on a 4.
Okay. Let's see
No, sorry,
here.
mixed.
Mixed. Okay. So I'll take. Is that just the 1 point of damage? for mixed?
Let's see. On a mixed success, the transformation succeeds well enough to last. Yes. So it's just the one that you're using to play your wild card.
Okay. And that can be
then
any
this-
point, right? Or does it have to be strenuous point? Does it have to be stress?
It can be from any pool. I think generally the GM would assign that to you, but in this case, I'm willing to allow y'all to pick since you know what you're doing.
Okay, I'll go with HP this time. We'll say that the mix is that the carbon, unfortunately, she doesn't quite bind it correctly, and a little bit of skin comes off by the time that she
Ooh.
lets it go. But it is a successful transformation,
Rough.
and she chucks that. She chucks our delicious foam concrete core ball up on next to the sensor.
Absolutely. You strike directly where you were aiming. I'm not asking for a check for this. There's a sort of noise as it hits the wall, and then it kind of just drops down to the ground. It doesn't seem to have, it's still foam rubber as far as you can tell from your position. You don't hear anything strange going on.
She does the 2 thumbs together and turns to Killian. Ready for you.
All right. I would like to convert the foam rubber back to concrete.
Alrighty.
So I think you said because I'm not able to touch it at this point, it would be a check, but with -1 card.
I think that's probably the way to handle that, yeah.
So in that case, it's still erudition, which is a 3, -1 is 2, so I'll have to draw 2. Does that make sense?
Yep, sure does.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to... On the plus side, I'm always drawing at least 1 chalice. So
That's something.
You got that going for you.
that's going to give me a 3, though, I think, which is not great.
Yeah, that would be strenuous for sure.
So I'll go ahead and spend another SP. Play my last wild card. I don't know if going through wild cards at this rate is a good thing. I don't know if they get refreshed, but what the hell.
They get refreshed at the end of the session, so...
yeah. So basically,
if this
they're not
were a
gonna get
long-term game,
refreshed, yeah.
you'd get them back in an hour.
Okay. So I'll play... The Magician is one of those,
The Magician
Arcana
is one of
cards,
the
right?
high
Okay.
Arcana, yep.
All right.
Major
So,
Arcana.
Major Arcana. So
Let's see.
whatever that's worth.
Magician...
So it
is
bumps it
red,
up.
actually. Yeah. Beautiful.
So you go from being a mixed success to a complete success, or strenuous to mixed, depending on where you are.
Mixed
with
to
your
complete,
points.
yeah.
Yeah, so you get a complete
Perfect.
success.
Pretty good.
Yeah, the power of the Magician flows through you. You are able to pull off the exact trick you needed to, which I leave it up to you how good of a thing you think that is, because you definitely just set off whatever this is. You are beset by this horrible, horrible screeching sound. It's just a noise ringing in your ears constantly. The rest of you, nothing happened. Totally normal. Seemed like it just sort of switched back.
So even though I'm standing right next to
Interesting.
Killian, only he hears it, and I'm totally fine.
Exactly, yes.
Nice.
Okay, so
what's going on, Killian?
as far as like this is just me before I react out of character. It seems like this is more of a magic, like a magic user incapacitation thing versus an alarm going off. Is that correct? Or
Seems to be, yeah.
okay.
You get the sense that it's kind of like those mosquito buzzer things that they use at gas stations to scare kids off. It's just to try
Gotcha.
and make it so you can't concentrate on casting.
Okay. And it causes pain or just the weird auditory.
I mean, it's definitely not comfortable to have this very
Okay.
loud ringing in your ears, but it doesn't hurt. It's just, yeah.
So yeah, Killian kind of clutches at his ears for a second from the initial stimulus, but once it kind of settles, he'll take a breath, and he's speaking a little bit louder than he might normally. As if he's wearing noise canceling headphones and doesn't realize what volume he's at. Do none of you hear that?
Okay, I think we
No.
should go.
Yeah. So then let's go to somewhere that is not here. I think is the way to do that.
Okay.
I think it was just the two of us, so I'd say we just head back to the hideout to report our findings.
Cool.
Experiment
As you
successful.
take off, you do see one of the guards beginning to run around the building. You're not in danger of being caught, but they're heading for your location.
I was watching
Okay.
with the binoculars from another location to see what happened.
Oh, right.
So I'm watching. It transforms. A guard
Okay,
comes
yep.
running. What happens after that?
Well, he doesn't see these two escaping, so no worries there. He sort of gets to the location, looks around, and finds the recently transmuted hunk of concrete. It's the only thing that really seems to be out of place. So he pulls from one of the pouches at his utility belt like a rubber glove, just the standard surgical glove, picks the thing up, and very carefully walks around to the front of the building. I'm going to assume that you have the angle on this where he takes it to the guard station and then just doesn't come back out. So something's probably going on in that guard station because it's not big enough. Like, it's, a
Yeah.
4 foot by 4 foot toll booth. He's not.
Some call is being made.
But it looked like they did pick up the concrete that we used. Is that correct?
Yes, they sure did.
Okay. So they were able
I'm
to
gonna-
identify it.
I'm gonna call Killian or text him or whatever, something that he can register, and say there might be a tracing spell coming. They took the concrete into the guard booth and they haven't come out. So I don't know what the guy's doing, but that could be a thing something that's happening.
Okay.
Okay. If you keep watching, he's in that booth for about 10 to 15 minutes, at which point he does come back out, still holding the block, and just sort of hucks it off into the sea. Like, it doesn't seem to matter to him anymore at that point. Whatever he did, he doesn't need the material still.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that is what it is. Killian, Killian doesn't mind a little bit of heat. So, well, now we know how that works. How we're going to get around it, I'm not quite sure. How long does it last?
That's a fair question. As you leave the building, it's going to persist for about half an hour afterwards. It doesn't seem to be
damn.
proximity related. It's time.
Okay. I want to keep moving during that time, so that I'm not in one place when it, in the same place I have been for a few minutes when it ends.
Absolutely.
And then once it ends, I'm going to go back to our fallback. Okay. Well, so that kind of, I was going to say maybe if the rest of us we have one person cast at a time, the rest of us can kind of keep an eye on that person until they're better, and then another person can cast, but it doesn't seem like that's likely because it takes so long to go away. All right.
Strictly
I have
speaking,
thoughts.
my magic is not my own. It might not be
Correct.
as effective on me.
That is true.
You just have a bunch of different like spellcasters. You've taken ones from around the city, so they're like, ah!
Right. That was
Yes,
exactly
that
what I
might
was
be-
thinking.
that
You
might be a
just suddenly
very
have the
bad day
equivalent
for
of
many-
voodoo dolls.
It might be a very
acquired.
bad day for many other people. But
Not you.
without taking it apart, we can't know for certain. But it's a possibility.
And I can transmute myself and others before we go inside, so I will hopefully won't have to cast any magic once we're actually in there.
Well, yeah, there's a chance we can fix all this. We'll see what happens.
Sounds good.
If it absolutely comes to it, they are probably partially made of carbon.
Okay, so let's. I get back to. Yeah, what's. Has anybody like tracked them at all or anything, or is it just the noise that was doing it?
So far as you've been able to tell, it was just the sounds. Whatever proximity alert happened seems to be limited to the location. Probably those alarms, sensors, whatever, that can't follow you, so... Like, if you took one of them with you, maybe they could follow you, but...
Oh, yeah, that's not what I'm up to. We'll see how this works. We'll see how badly I do.
Oh, that's what it's all about.
All right. So, you texted something about a ringing. That was pretty much it.
Yes, basically would have been a sort of like a tinnitus, but like taken to the absolute extreme, making it difficult to concentrate, difficult to hear anything. Not exactly like disorienting, but on the verge of disorienting.
Okay. All right. Well, so tomorrow night we should make the run. I mean, it's tomorrow night's the 20. It's the 29th, and we got to go before they roll the ball over there. So.
Agreed.
Just rolling the ball through the streets like Katamari.
Damn Stippy. What else would we do?
And it's New York City, so it would come like wherever we take it to, it would just be covered in chewed gum.
I bet.
Yeah, despite the many varied available cleaning magics, New York has never actually sprung for anything to be applied to the streets, so...
Nope. It's New York City. Why would they? All right. Shall we skip to the next night unless somebody wants something to do?
Yes, indeed. Are there any final preparations y'all would like to make before the final run?
We allowed to do our use our downtime action here?
Absolutely.
Okay, hold on. Let me just get the right page to get the text.
So just for the viewer's benefit, normally downtime actions would cost experience points. We haven't been playing this game long enough to accrue experience points. I'm just going to say go ahead and do your downtime action without cost. Like, it's fine.
Okay, so the downtime action for the charlatan is when you get down to it, magic is a type of pact. I spend my downtime phase speaking to someone whose powers you can copy and give them something that they want. She is going to go to her one of her mob contacts, a hacker by the name of John, a hacker technomancer by the name of John Tidor.
Wonderful.
Maybe it is that John Chidori. You don't know. Anyway, she's going to go and visit with him and um presumably give him something that he wants in exchange for, and then she can use that his power to explode technology with +1 advantage, which will negate my -1 disadvantage for doing it while he's not in the scene.
Excellent. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. How does he feel about you having stolen one of his wands?
He's probably not exactly happy about it, but it's been such a long. He's had it for such a long time. Honestly, he's probably more perturbed that someone who has gotten kicked out of the mob for dating an undercover cop. An undercover cop is coming around to talk to him.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, it's definitely an uncomfortable conversation, but yeah, I think that's great. Absolutely. Um, what he wants primarily are one, a pizza, and two, you to not be here so he won't get in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. She will order him a pizza and fuck off.
Give me some pizza and beat it.
Sounds good.
New
Any
York
other
City
downtime
pizza.
moves?
Question.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it would be that I need, but I would like to snatch from the aether something that would aid me in stealing the alarm aspect. So like the actual sensors aspect of the device.
Interesting. Um, yeah, okay. That makes a lot of sense. So, when you snatch from the aether, how does that look exactly? Are you just sort of reaching out into nothingness and coming back with an item?
She's building it, right? So she's just going like this, grabbing the ether and just pulling it towards herself until something takes shape. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's small, sometimes it's huge, but there's always this click kind of feeling, soundish response that you get for doing this.
Yeah, okay. Very cool. Um, let's see. Hmm, I think then what manifests, it's a little strange, but it's basically one of those, the kind of toy with the clamp arms and the trigger that you pull to.
Yeah.
It's like a foot and a half long. Yep, it's like that, but it's just got these sort of glowing blue runes lined along the side of its body.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go with it. The Aether provides.
Uh, yeah. You got to do what you can, right?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Unfortunately, my downtime action requires that I have wild cards, so
Oh, jeez. Sorry.
that's all right.
I am going to attempt to perform some shapeshifting that will last through to tomorrow, actually, since I can do that since I can do that now. Let's see here. So I am going to Oh yeah. To my bonus, does that mean I can add it? Does that mean I get to put it into my hand? Or is
That's
that
just
just a
part of the
method? Or is that
spread,
a
yeah.
part of using it for this hand? Okay, gotcha. Sweet. Well, let's do that then and make it a success. In which case, I wake up with still having hook hands.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for action.
Love hook hands.
Excellent.
All right.
This is probably not good for your bed.
So here's a question.
All
Say
right.
I don't see it anywhere, but can I give another player one of my wild cards?
I don't believe so. You can play it on their behalf, taking a help action, but I don't think you can just hand it to them.
Okay. Well, if you
Um,
want to, Ben, I can play one for you. I have a couple that I have one I can spare.
Alrighty. I don't know. So here's the thing with my downtime.
Oh,
says,
Tessie
I-
wants to be your wild card.
I'm sorry, what now?
Tessie just said they want to be your wild card.
Oh, that does not surprise me. Yes, yes, Tassie, that's fine. Just come over here and so I can like put you in my hand and then we'll be fine. But no, I can't. It's not a card that someone else plays on my behalf. I have to discard the wild card from my hand in order to get the benefit. So, yeah, I know you would, Tassie. So, yeah, yeah, unfortunately, I just don't think it is gonna pan out. So, but that's all right. Now I know. Hang on to your wild cards.
It's one of those things where we're running. We didn't realize we'd get a little downtime in this one shot, right?
yeah.
All right.
All right. And I'd say it's probably about crime time.
Prime time
old
for
hook
crime
hands.
time.
That's so funny.
All right. So
Let's roll.
away we go. All right.
Yes, indeed. How are we approaching?
I was just going to walk through the front door. And
Okay.
if questioned, I have an excuse.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, we've got the uniforms, right?
Yep.
Absolutely
wearing
have the
uniforms.
uniforms.
Panina hides her hands in her sleeves, just making it look like it's a little long so that she doesn't have to answer questions about the hook hands.
Okay. Night falls as you approach the gate. Well, it's already fallen as you approach the gate. The fella in the guard booth does sort of look up and sort of nonchalantly, you got your badges?
I'll flash the badges.
Okay. And yeah, that's fine. That's all he needs. He's not here to check every single detail of every pass, so you are good to walk straight in the door.
Awesome.
He's got
Thank
his
you.
Magic Sports Illustrated to look at.
So when we get close enough, because I don't have to touch it, I just have to be close enough. I am going to steal the sensors aspect of the devices. Just steal them. That's my aspect
Interesting.
thief playbook move.
Very, very interesting. Okay. Well, that's certainly going to need the check, but yeah, that'll. I'm trying to recall. I think your check for that.
Is underhand,
That sounds right to me.
and because I have the item for my downtime activity, I get to either play a wild card on it or get an automatic +1.
Perfect. Okay.
So let's draw 1. I want swords. I don't want swords out.
You had to get a bad draw eventually.
I got the moon.
Yep. Yeah, you surely did.
So I can have the moon, which is a 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can play. Hang on. Let me look at the effects here of everything. Just a moment. Here we go. The moon, avoid any consequences for this action if it is a mixed or strenuous success. At 3, it's I don't have to do anything more.
Yeah. No.
that's-
No. You're.
I'll take a
lucky,
+1 on it.
Unlucky.
I'll take a +1 on it to bump it to the 4 from my item
Okay.
to
Okay.
make it a mixed success. It'll shatter the item. If you require me to have a 6 to get all of the sensors abilities in the place, I'll do that. I'll spend it on that. I'll play out a different card. But
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. With a 5, I think you could absolutely take out some of the sensors, but if you want to push it up to a 6, then you could take down the whole system.
okay, so just a second here.
What suit are you looking for?
No, I don't want that. Oh, I'm not looking at suit. I need wands and something else. I forget
Okay,
what.
nope. I got chalice and swords. I can't help you.
But no, that's fine. I don't need assistance on it. I'm just looking at
Pentacles. It's the other one.
yeah. I'm just looking at see, temperance is higher, so but I don't have to take the effect from temperance, right?
Right. You only got the one effect of the one that you put in the bonus slot, so I'm assuming in this case that is the moon.
That will be the moon. I'm playing out temperance. Where did temperance go? There it is. So I played out temperance. So that would get me, and I'm going to. So together, those are how many points?
That is a 14, so that's worth 2 points. So you're looking at 5 right there.
5, and then so I'm gonna. What I'll do is I'll expend the 1 from my item, and expend that, and I'll spend the 1 EP then to play the wild card.
Yeah, sounds good.
Point of clarification: since that got played as a wild card from the hand, isn't that full points?
Oh, you know what? You're right. Thank you for pointing that out.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Well,
I remember.
then I don't have to expend my.
Yep. Yeah, you're just at 6.
my
then,
EP.
You
by
are
playing
good.
I am getting all the luck on the rolls today, so
it. That is the
drawings.
luckiest unlucky roll I think I have seen in a game in a long time.
Yeah.
so that gives me a 6. I have a full success on this.
You have a full success. Okay. So
that's,
reaching out with your abilities, it's a little strange. The sensor system seems to be, it's almost all interlinked. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, you could pull the one plate out, because realizing the way this works, there's a sort of set of arcane runes scribed on individual little plates made of different materials onto every different box. So you gotta pop the box open, you can pull one of those plates out, no problem. But then you realize there's a way you might be able to do this, because you did get that artifact. So using the clamp hands, you're able to sort of very carefully identify which one of these plates is the sensor system and draw that forward. And as you do, there's this sort of, it's a very quiet clattering noise. Maybe someone would have heard it, but probably not, as you just keep pulling and pulling and pulling, and all of these plates linked by a copper wiring system get pulled out through the one. It doesn't make sense. They shouldn't be able to fit through the wiring guards, but they just keep coming and coming. And by the end of it, you've got like 40 of these sensor plates sitting in front of you.
And I stored them. I choose to store them. As an aspect thief, I can store them in my personal Aether thing for future use.
Yep, uh-huh.
So I do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just picture you like force pulling like one, and somehow like it just brings all the others from around the complex to you, and you just shove it into your interdimensional bag of holding, close the portal, and you're just like, security system's gone, team.
Very, very strange. Very strange. She is pleased with herself, and that's that.
Panini is just standing there, just like mouth agape, staring at you in open awe at your achievement.
Yeah, as so far as you are aware, that security system is now effectively useless because it can no longer detect when spells are cast.
That's what I needed. Thank you. Okay, we should be clear. I've taken away all of the sensors.
Okay, I guess it's time for me to take out the cameras. And that's
Sounds good.
so. Scroll. Charlatan. There we go. That is an underhanded roll to pull out the keyboard and start typing on it to explode all
Yeah.
electronics nearby.
Yeah, a lot of underhanded going around in this game. I guess I
We
should have
are-
expected this from a heist game.
You planned a heist, yeah. Erudite makes perfect sense. Underhanded makes perfect sense. I don't know about the others.
Alright, the Hanged
So-
Man.
Okay. You're looking for staves and pentacles here, so.
Knight of Coins.
Ah,
Coins
wands
are
and
pentacles.
coins. Yeah.
Swans and
And the
coins.
Chariot.
Okay. Yeah, uh-huh. A lot of major arcana in this game. This is a very important game. Okay. So the Hanged Man probably wouldn't do much for you as a bonus. That one is worth 2 because it's a medium card.
Right.
The Chariot is also worth 2, but yes, it's just worth 2. It's worth bonus points if you're doing something stylish. So,
Okay. And the Knight is also worth 2.
the Knight is a face card, so that's worth 3.
Okay.
So you have 7 points there.
I have 7. That is
You
that's
do.
a good roll.
Yeah, the bonus effects aren't super useful, but it's still a complete success. And yeah, how does this look? You're using someone else's magic to wire to outdo this security system. Is it just you typing and then you say the camera's off, or is there a light show?
Well, see, my power is specifically I can only steal offensive magic, so it actually makes all of the cameras around explode.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, there's like a chain reaction detonation as these cameras just start popping one by one. On a complete success, I think it's subtle enough that maybe it doesn't get immediately noticed. Y'all definitely see it because you're looking for it, but there's just this series, almost like very tiny firecrackers very far away, because of course they are mounted up at the ceiling, so... And yeah, because the sensors are disabled, you do not suffer the effects of the alarm system for casting this combat spell.
Wow, we're really good at sneaking.
Yes, sneaking. That is what we are doing.
Right.
Something like that.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Oh,
the ball has got to be in the under construction section, right? That's the only place big enough to have it.
Yes.
Right, let's head that way, I guess.
okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna need anybody at all, to make me an erudite check real quick, just because there are guards in here doing their rounds, and you all are trying to blend in. So
I've got a 3
will-
erudite, but I have no wild cards, so.
I can also
Actually,
I can assist you.
can I make
If
a
you pull, I'll
suggestion for an
assist you.
alternative? I have the mesmerize ability as my other archetype action. I can
I'm
use my
listening.
charismatic demeanor to convince someone to stop what they're doing and listen to me. Could I
No,
do that
no.
on them?
That doesn't seem like quite right because they'll be paying attention to you rather than ignoring us.
Yeah, but if they're paying attention to me, and then all of you can go ahead and then they're not paying attention to the rest of you.
Yeah, and it could be calling attention to like get us past too, like hey, we need something someplace, like direct me to the back room, and then
Or you could just do it. Someone
to
else
you.
can do the erudite roll. I cannot do the erudite pull. I have 0.
I would have Ben do the erudite roll, and I'll assist him.
I can do that, yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good. Now, I do want to throw a warning out there. Assisted cards don't get the bonus for wild cards. They're just worth what they're worth. So just want to make sure you know that before you decide to do that.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, playing cards for yourself is more valuable than playing them for other people, because we don't like friendship in this house.
All right, so that's not a good card for me. That's not a good card for me, and that is a somewhat good card for me. But that only gives me a 1, so not great.
Yeah, and so then hang on, let me just check the values here. What the price of the point value of the one I'm spending? It is so that would we could get to a 3 total.
Is there any difference between a 3 and a 1?
Well, a 1 is a failure, and a 3 is a strenuous success. So,
Gotcha.
is a difference. It's just not a great one.
I mean, I guess a success is better than a failure. So sure, yeah, if you want to do that.
Okay. I'm going to play the Hermit to help you.
All right.
Sounds good. Now, the Hermit's bonus effect, if this were a long-running game, that could be useful to you, because it would allow you to ask me a question that would advance your Gnosis quest. Since this is a one-shot, I leave it to you whether you want to do that.
There's a reason I haven't played it yet.
Fair enough. Okay, with a strenuous success, I think the way this is going to go down, you are not immediately noticed by the guards who are patrolling, but that is because they are busy freaking out that the cameras have exploded. They have much bigger things to worry about right now. They're running around. You're pretty sure someone in the front office is about to put in a call, but for the moment, you are undetected. You're good to go.
Okay. Just walking through the place like I own it. Like I'm
Absolutely.
supposed to be there.
For sure. Moving to the back half of the warehouse, it's all cleared out. There's basically nothing on the floor back here, except for what is very obviously the ball that you're here to, steal/destroy. It's, like I said before, a good 12 feet in diameter. It's just absolutely glittery. Looking at it, you almost feel just a little bit woozy. It's like it's kind of hard to concentrate when this thing is directly in front of you. It's not overwhelming you, thankfully. You're not losing yourselves in the infinite refraction of these tiny pieces of horrible mind-eating artifacts. but it's really uncomfortable to look at this thing.
We've taken. There's nothing else in the area that we need to worry about as far as we see, right? We're walking in. We're not seeing anybody else. We're not seeing any guards, and we don't see anything else alarm-wise.
No, you seem to be in the clear. The alarms and cameras are disabled, and the guards are busy panicking because the cameras have been disabled. So,
okay. Walking up, Polina takes a good look. Well, I should say she takes a good look around the sphere, doing her best not to peer at it directly, given the uncomfortableness of that. And then, upon checking out and seeing that it looks like there's nothing else preventing her from getting close, she walks up and begins working to just draw out all of the carbon from the sphere.
absolutely. Go ahead and give me that stylish roll.
Alrighty.
Draw. Again, card games.
They're a thing.
Oh, on third card.
Oh, come on.
No.
You need swords for stylish.
You do need swords for stylish,
Yep.
but
So you
not
have a
chalices. But not chalices or wands. Yeah.
So you have a 3.
Which is at least the strenuous success, which is not so terrible considering that we got a chance to rest. So I'm otherwise at full for my pools. So we'll just take it. It's stressful. The carbon, once again, failing to store it properly. I'm pooling it within my body in patches, but it's doing a bad job, and I'm accidentally creating some spikes, stalactites that are kind of pulling on the skin and making it painful.
ooh.
So I look spiked right now from the carbon, but I do pull it all out of the sphere. So it just, without that, the glass is just going to be really basically just hydrogen. I looked this up earlier. So
I appreciate
it's
the
just
effort.
it's just kind of a gas, since it's at room temperature here, just kind of slowly dissipating out from that area.
All right. As you pull this carbon out, as the sphere, what remains of it, crumbles into gas, there's a very subtle, at first, a sort of howling, and then it gets louder and louder and louder as something bursts forth. It's using that gas to manifest itself as you realize what's before you is a 6-headed wizard ghost, which has been set free by the destruction of the artifact that contained it. And
Oh God. Okay.
Hi. Are all of you friendly?
This entity just shrieks, and as it does, some of the lights in the ceiling start to pop from the sheer force of the volume. It's unpleasant to be here right now, but
Okay. Maybe
you get the
we
idea that
should
maybe
just
some guards are gonna see what's going on pretty
maybe we
quick.
should just leave, team. It doesn't seem like the wizard wants to talk. Or any
What are
of
we
the
doing?
wizards.
Are we
I
running
come
away now?
squish in and I shake my spines, which kind of they're kind of like flapping a little bit since the connection wasn't made super well.
If the wizard if the ghost is what was powering the glass, we might want to get rid of it. But also, that wasn't specifically in the job. So
That's true. Technically, we weren't hired to destroy whatever the hell this thing is. However, I feel like letting it loose might be a bad thing, so...
Yeah, I don't know if we want to. If I think we should do something about it. What can we do about it?
I mean, I'd like to think the person who steals destructive magic could probably zap the hell out of it, but
I
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
could. You're right.
Yeah,
I
I
can
do
try and
have.
absorb it. You're right.
so
I have on my yes, I do have a medium on my list of wizards I have stolen from.
Excellent.
So you can talk to it.
So I have a thing under my tricks called platinum distillation, which I can apply transmutational effects to help improve people in a temporary manner. I can improve someone's essence for the space of a moment, causing their next 2 actions to have +1 advantage.
Oh,
Yeah,
Can I use that to
absolutely.
help Taylor with whatever Taylor's about to do?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
since
so-
that's a trick and not a knack, it doesn't even require a roll. You just spend the effort cost, and it's good.
Perfect. I did that.
All right. Taylor reaches into her coat and pulls out some of those you know in Sailor Moon those those charms that Sailor Mars has? Pulls
yes.
out couple of them and throws them up at the ghost to disrupt the what's binding it to the material plane.
Real quick, so I have an oath that says whenever I help an ally on the fly with my magic, I'm assuming platinum distillation is my magic, I immediately create a simple shape out of concrete and restore 4 EP to an ally. So I
Beautiful.
don't know who's low on EP. Anybody?
I'm only one down. I'm one down. If anyone needs more,
I think
actually,
I'm
no,
the only.
EP. Nope, I'm full EP. I have only
Okay, yeah.
to get.
I think I'm the
sorry.
only one who's been spending this stuff. So, but either way, I'm gonna create a simple shape out of concrete. I'm gonna do a big block in front of the door so that guards
The
can't
guards
get through
can't
it
get in.
easily.
Ooh,
So-
good call. All right.
All right, sorry, Taylor.
So So
All right.
Anna Lee, the medium I stole this from, is not in the scene, so that's -1. But then I get a +1 advantage from that, so I get my full thing.
Right. Now,
And-
combat does do a couple of things a little bit differently, so I'm going to try and run through this quick.
Okay.
When you take a combat action, you choose to bet as many of your EP as you want. And depending on how many of your EP you bet, that's going to add a multiplier to your damage. So the more you bet, the more likely you are to do a huge amount of damage. But if you use it all and then don't get a success, then you're kind of out of luck. So that's all I'm going to say right now. Damage calculation is a little tricky, but I will handle that. Don't worry.
Okay. I do also get +1 damage because I am invoking the protection racket medium Anna Lee, who summons ghosts to like threaten businesses. So I get +1 extra HP damage when I do this, but we'll come to that in a second. Well, I am going to bid 5. I'm going to go big. I'm going to bid 5 EP on this.
Sounds good.
Why the hell not? We're at the end of the thing. That's a
I
good
know,
sword
right?
for a fight.
Ooh.
So you need swords to do this?
Swords and wands, I believe.
Okay.
Sure
For a forceful check, because that's what you're doing is
Oh,
forceful.
yeah. Is.
Wait. No, it should be it's an underhanded because I am doing because that's the
Ooh.
I can only copy magic with underhanded.
Oh,
Okay,
So, but that's still
that makes
staves
it
and
coins
pentacles,
and-
and you got 2 of those.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's,
That's 5 with the +1 from Ben. So that's a 6.
Yep.
Oh,
All right. That's. Yeah, so with the complete success, we're going to multiply that by your bet and then add your base damage. What does it look like, Taylor, when you use this medium's ability to just blast this ghost back to the afterlife?
so the charms like just kind of float in the air in front of the ghost for a second, and they just start sparking green lightning and go into the ground and pull the ghost down with them into nothingness.
Marvelous.
It's vaguely like a ghost trap, except there's not actually a trap. It's just going right to hell. We're cutting out the business middleman.
Yeah. So this six-headed ghost screams as it's drawn through the circle of beads down into the depths, and then it's just quiet. You can hear on the other side of this doorway that's blocked the frantic yells of guards who are trying to get in, but fortunately y'all know a couple different ways out of this building, so I think there's not much left to do at this point, but get the heck out of there, yeah?
Yeah.
Time
Yep.
to beat feet.
Yeah.
My trick doesn't say it, but says I can supernaturally lose someone in the crowd for 2, and causing anybody that's trying to track me to lose me completely of any kind of tracking, like period. Can I apply that to my companions as well?
You know what? Not normally, but in this case, I'm going to say yes, because you're all already in costume, and there's a lot going on, and it's the end of the session anyway, so yes.
So we just blend right in. So I'm using Catch Me If You Can. Almost all of the Aspect Thieves abilities, or all of them, I should say, are named after the heist movies.
Yep.
So I think it's great.
It's marvelous. But yes, with that, you have successfully destroyed the artifacts that would have done probably something horrible in a couple of days on New Year's Eve. Fortunately, as noted earlier, the city does have replacements, which are not evil, so the only thing that has been lost here is a billionaire's investments and time. So, congratulations all. When you wake up the next morning, you have each had the sum of $50,000 transferred into your accounts, because apparently that robot is pretty loaded. And, yeah.
Hooray! I can pay off the bounty on my life and go back to being regular poor. I drew that as my starting link before the character even.
Marvelous. But yeah, thank you all so much for playing. This has been a blast.
Thank you very much for running.
This was
Thank
good.
you. This was a
I
lot
had
of fun.
Absolutely. So this has
if
been...
if you viewers would like to have more fun with this particular pack of characters, I'm going to turn them into PDFs so that you can grab them. If you when you get your hands on this, you can pick them up through our Patreon store. We do have a store where you can just buy things outright, not just be a member and purchase things instead of having the monthly deduction.
Fantastic. So this has been a playtest of Ark City Arcane Blues, created by Pixel Bismuth. Pixel can be found at Pixel on co-host, because they got in early and got one of the good usernames. They're also at bismuth-heart.com, though they say maybe go for the co-host because they're a little unsure if how long that website's going to last because of server issues. But yeah, thank you so much for letting us play. It has been a huge amount of fun.
Yeah,
And,
we love playtesting, especially from other members of the LGBTQ plus community. So if you've got a game you want that you think's ready to playtest, we'll do it on screen for you. Just send it over, and we'll discuss and see what we can do with it.
Absolutely. So if y'all would like to go ahead and plug yourselves on the way out, in the same order as you introduced, that would be great. Do you have anything to tell us?
I'm Jen Giggles. You can find me here at All on the Table or All on the Table RPGs everywhere. That's the best way to get a hold of me directly.
So, hi everybody, Ben Ravensdale. I've been playing Killian, and you can find me all on the Table RPGs. I GM the Vigilantes Union Local 13 series, but you can also find me on the Stolen Fires Twitch channel, to just one word, exactly the way it sounds, Stolen Fires. Every Thursday night, we're actually just starting up a new campaign of The Between, which is another Powered by the Apocalypse game that apparently is all about being amorous with monsters or something. I don't know. I'm not really familiar. That's just what I was told. So
we're going to mark this particular stream as 18 plus going forward.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's Thursday nights. Not next Thursday because session 0, but after that. we'll be starting up. So yeah, thanks for being here.
Awesome.
I'm M Healy. You can find me on Twitter and on Blue Sky at M of Healy. You can hear me on the Stargate podcast Jaffa Takes. That's coming back now. Now that the strike's over and then the holidays are over, we're going to resume recording regularly. And you can hear my new podcast that's launching in 2 days, Battle of the Blorbos, where everyone is going to where we're going to get guests on to rank their favorite fictional characters in a series of arbitrary tasks. Patch isn't on the episode that is dropping in a couple of days, but they will be on in future.
Awesome.
I had to argue about how well Jareth would do on the Game of Thrones.
Nice. I'm Nick. Hopefully you can't find me anywhere, but if you want to see me, you can see me each first Saturday of the month, as I am a regular player in the Artifacts of Romulus game that is right here on All on Table RPGs.
Nice. And I've been Nobody. You can find me primarily at linktr.ee/nobodyaround, which has links to all my social media stuff. And of course, I am also part of Artifacts of Romulus, as well as Light of Cinders, both games here on All on the Table. I am also going to be a part of Random Rhapsody's new campaign, the Ether Shanties campaign. That'll be every other Monday at 7 p.m., I believe that is. And that's going to be playtesting a new RPG also, the game called Sagas. We'll be launching alongside their Kickstarter to promote it.
Before we go, I'd like to say thank you all for watching. We're going to raid over to our friend Juice Tex. Juice Tex was part of the behind-the-scenes stuff for the mutual aid run we did of the Trans Holiday Party 2023, and that they did the art of the emote that you can still see in our emote selection of the Trans Doctor. So we're going to start that raid now. If you want to go, we recommend you do. They're doing some chatting and maybe do some art. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care, y'all.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.